Great to be with you today. Going to have a fun show today for some spooky stories and chilling challenges coming up. Ready to welcome everybody as we get this spooky party started. Here we go. Welcome. And here they all are. Give us a big wave. Fantastic. So we have Emma Carroll. Okay, we have Jennifer Killick over here. We have Lucy Strange. And we have PJ Killburn. Let's give them a big round of applause. They can't see you. This in our classroom. Give them a round of applause. So lovely to be with you all today. I hope you're all doing really well, and looking forward to hearing more about your brilliant books. Now, how are you all feeling?
Psyched.
That's a good start. Okay, come on. Let's get those limbs into it. Here we go. Yeah, right. So we're going to do the Frightfully Good. On the screen here, we have obviously Emma, Jennifer, Lucy, and PJ in the same thing. I think we keep you all on the screen at the same time so we can hear each other sort of do it. I think that'd be fun. So Emma, you're going to go first. 15 seconds to talk about your wonderful book. So you obviously hold your books out as you're doing this. Introduce your book and your 15 seconds. Now, just to say,
sorry,
are you ready? Oh, wait, hold on. I've got to show you something. Hold on. We're going to see if it works first. I don't know if it's on here. Wait there. See if I can get it working. Oh, yeah, here we go. Well, time is up when you hear this. Okay, ready? Okay, is that all right? Okay, so that's your time up when you hear the evil, wicked laugh. So, Jennifer, PJ, Lucy, let's give Emma a bit of encouragement here. Come on, Emma, okay? And I'll give you a 1, 2, 3. Then you're off. Remember, you've got to stop on the evil, wicked laugh. Okay, ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Dracula and Daughters is about three cousins who discover they are descendants of Dracula himself. They also find a book that's all about healing vampires. It's very exciting and full of gothic references.
I'm not sure what that was. He came to the end of the laugh.
That sounded like a shaky thing.
He died at the end. That's very good. Dracula and the Daughters.
Thank you.
We've got basically when you start the story, as Emma demonstrated, you get this very brilliant beginning. In the middle, there's just a load of noise going blah 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 blah, blah and then it goes to the end.
That's not in the book.
It's not in the book. That's a disappointment. Okay, Jennifer. Okay, over to you now. Okay, so here we go. Round of applause to Jennifer, please, in advance, and for Emma, of course. Okay, here we go. Ready? So 1, 2, 3. Off you go.
So this is my series. It's called Serial Killers. It's set in a town called Hazard where loads of people die or disappear in mysterious circumstances. And Hazard is full of myths of monsters like, do you know, Bloody Mary, the myth of that was so quick.
It's pretty fast when he's evil.
Pretty good as well, I have to say.
He's there, Okay. It's quite stressful, this, isn't it? I mean, it's not even my books. I feel quite stressed. Okay, getting your heart going, kids. That's the point of this. Getting your heart going. Okay, Lucy, are we ready, Lucy? Okay, so ready? 1. I'll give you a round of applause. Sorry, Lucy. I'll give a round of applause.
Thank you.
Those are my manners. I do forget. So ready? 1, 2, 3. Off you go.
1930s London, Theatreland. Supernatural sleuth Matilda Lockett and her ghostly best friend Edgar Wilde discover a dark secret in Matilda's family history. The mystery leads them to a peculiar junk shop, the cellar of which is most dreadfully haunted.
That was very, very good. And also, I like you got the word haunted. Then we got the evil, wicked laugh. That was really, really good. Okay, PJ, no pressure. You're up last. Okay, here we go. Round of applause to PJ here. Okay, here we go. Ready? So here we go. 1, 2, 3. You're on.
Dead Yard Sees a Doom is a book about Jermaine who lives in London. He is an aspiring horror director, and he gets a fright of his life when an evil Jamaican Patty brings his great uncle back from the dead. Or does it?
That was very, very good. Very, very good. That is fantastic stuff. Give each other a big round of applause. I think that was very worth it.
Yeah, well done.
Lucy is going to stay with us. Jennifer, Emma, and PJ will be speaking to you later on. Let's give them a round of applause. They did very, very good for that. So Jennifer, speak to you later. Thank you very much. Emma, speak to you later. And PJ, speak to you later. And Lucy, we're just going to play the titles. Then we're back for more Lockett. Okay, hope you all enjoyed that. That fright in a flash. It was a fright in a flash. Do you enjoy that, Lucy?
It's very stressful. It's very there's the blood is pumping.
Well, that's the idea, isn't it? You see, it's your fault. It's all your books that sort of like kicked it all off, and now we're just sort of on a roll. So Lucy here to talk about 2 bits today. So Frankenstein, which is Lucy's sort of take on Frankenstein, which is a story you've all heard of over here, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and also the second book, I've got it right, of Lockett and Wilde, The Ghost of the Manor. So let's kick off with a quick question about Frankenstein.
London.
You what? Sorry.
The Ghost of London, the second
Ghost
one.
of London. Oh, I've got a Ghost of the Manor on there. Why is it on there?
First one. That's the first one, Mr. Dilly.
Oh, of course, the Ghost of London. Of course, it's the Ghost of London. So, Frankenstein. People have heard of Frankenstein. This is obviously the story of a man, Dr. Frankenstein, brings a monster to life. What drew you to this story? It's an amazing story, but it's kind of been used a lot over the years in different ways. But what drew you to this sort of retelling of it?
Yeah, I think it's exactly that, the fact that everyone has heard of Frankenstein. If you were to go out on Halloween trick-or-treating dressed as Frankenstein's monster, everyone would know who you were. Everyone knows the story of Frankenstein, and it's what's described as a classic. And I think that word classic can be quite intimidating actually for young readers. If someone says, "What's a classic?" It's one of the classics. I think it could be quite intimidating for everyone, actually. So what drew me to this project? So it's a bridging Frankenstein. We've cut the words down hugely. It's less than half as long as the original. And obviously, we've dealt with some of those long, winding sentences and some of that archaic vocabulary. And the point of it is to make a story that might feel quite intimidating to tackle it, to make it really accessible, much, much easier to read, much, much easier to get into, so that you've got that sense of ownership. Yeah, I've read a classic. I've read one of the classics, and you know the story.
That's true. It's interesting with Frankenstein, isn't it? Because I don't know if any of the children have actually ever seen anything with Frankenstein in it or read anything. And the other one that's always got a synonymous, it's the same sort of era, was Dracula, of course, you know. But when you actually like Frankenstein, especially when you read it, and when I was a kid, Frankenstein the monster was this terrifying monster. But when I actually read the book, you actually feel pretty sorry for the monster. It's quite an interesting story and stuff.
Yeah.
Is there any favorite parts you have of the story of Frankenstein that really kind of
Yeah, it's that bit when it switches. So it switches narrator, and the bit. So we hear the bulk of the story from Victor Frankenstein, this very, very ambitious scientist who wants to kind of conquer death. Essentially, is what he wants to do. And it's that bit that you just said, Mr. Dilly, when we switch and we hear the creature's side of the story, and that for me that's the magic of it. That's what makes this story such genius. And when we feel that sympathy for him, this creature that's just been abandoned because he's so terrifying.
Yeah, and have you kept that in your retelling of it? Have you got that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's not so much a retelling as an abridgment. So it's very, very faithful to Mary Shelley's version and Mary Shelley's voice and style and all of that. And it's just shorter and easier to get into.
Brilliant. So pick up a classic, read a classic, Frankenstein. It's an amazing, so whatever you think you know about Frankenstein, you've seen in movies or maybe in video games and stuff like that, if you actually read the book, it's a completely different feel, isn't it? Mm. And it's amazing. So your other book, you're busy.
It's a busy month, Mr. Dilly.
I know, it's a busy month. Okay. Lockett and Wilde, The Ghost of London. Okay, so tell me a bit about what's going on in this particular book. So obviously, for those not familiar, can you give us a little lowdown of who these people are, who the characters are, and then where they find themselves in this book? So over to you.
Okay, so Matilda Lockett is a little girl who travels the country with this theatre show, Signora Valentina and Her Shadows of the Dead, in which ghosts are conjured. Signora Valentina communicates with spirits and so on, except it's all an act. It's all done with tricks. It's all done with smoke and mirrors. And until the night Matilda Lockett discovers she actually can see and communicate with ghosts. And in our first book, The Ghosts of the Manor, that's just come out in paperback, Matilda meets and makes friends with a ghost boy called Edgar Wilde. And then in this book, The Ghosts of London, it starts with Matilda and Edgar discovering something about Matilda's dad. Now, Matilda's parents died when she was a baby. She doesn't really know anything about them. She had always assumed that her father was part of the Signora Valentina travelling fair because his name was Geronimo Lockett. So she always thought he was like a trapeze artist or a human cannonball or something like that. But it turns out, she discovers at the beginning of this story, it turns out that actually he was an accountant, and he had an accountancy firm in London with his partner, Max Grab. The accountancy firm was called Grab and Lockett. And Matilda and Edgar decide to go to the offices, the old offices of Grab and Lockett, to find out more. Matilda wants to find out more about her dad. And when they get there, it's not an office anymore, it's a junk shop. And the junk shop is, you will not be surprised to hear this, my friends, the junk shop is most dreadfully haunted.
Oh my goodness, I'm terrified already. I know, it's okay we're not doing the show at night time. It's good. So that's great. So what's the main characters in this? Can you tell us a little bit more about them in terms of, like, you know, who they are and you know, their sort of little journey in this particular story?
Yeah, so this is very much a story about Matilda, kind of, it's about family. So family is one of the big ideas in this story, because she has a family, her lovely Aunt Evelyn and Uncle Barnabas, who have brought her up and who love her to bits. And at the beginning of the story, she's perhaps feeling a little bit neglected, because Evelyn and Barnabas are a bit preoccupied with the theatre show. And perhaps it's that drives her to find out more about her parents and who her parents really were. Matilda's a very practical person. She always wears a pair of sturdy trousers. She likes to kind of, her head is very much screwed on. And her ghostly best friend, Edgar Wilde, who is kind of like a stowaway in Matilda's house, because Matilda's the only one who can see and hear him. So she hasn't told anyone that he's actually there, because he's her secret. But Edgar loves his detective stories. He loves Sherlock Holmes, all of this sort of thing. And he gets so excited about the fact that there may be, tangled up with the story of Matilda's dad, there may be a hidden stash of gold.
Oh, I love a hidden stash of gold. Yeah. I haven't found one yet, but I do like a hidden stash of gold. All the children watching, do you like a stash of gold? You know, help me find one. And we've got a quick question from school from you, Lucy, and then you're going to give us a little reading as well. So here we go. So this is from 6BF at Downs Junior School, Brighton. Hello, down the road from me. Okay, what is your biggest fear? Stroke, what spooks you the most? Good question. Thank you.
I think it's probably getting trapped somewhere. Getting trapped in somewhere. So and there's a scene. Well, I always tell young writers to, when you're writing something spooky, use your own fears. There's got to be a little bit of authenticity, a little bit of honesty there. Use your own fears. So in this story, Matilda and Edgar actually get trapped in the spooky cellar, which you'll be hearing about in a moment. And that, for me, is a really horrible thing. When you see someone, you know, in movies, you see people going down into a cellar or into an attic. You know there's a door that's going to close, and you're going, don't do it. You're going to get stuck.
They always do it, don't they? I mean, this is the thing. Why do they always do it? I think I'd agree with that. I think that sort of sense of claustrophobia as well. You know, You know, that's horrible sort of thing. Okay, so Lucy is going to give it. You're going to read from Lockett and Wilde. Is that correct?
I am. I'm going to read you a bit. I'm going to read you a bit in the cellar. Okay, so Matilda and Edgar are investigating the haunted cellar in the junk shop. Are you ready? Matilda and Edgar stared into the square hole. A steep wooden staircase led down into the darkness below. A dungeon, Edgar declared dramatically. A cellar, Matilda replied, trying to keep a sensible grip on her thoughts. Edgar was not helping, and neither was the voice that drifted up from the darkness. No one, no one. You'd better go down there and have a look, Edgar hissed. Oh, I think you should lead the way, Sherlock, said Matilda. No, Edgar insisted. Ladies first. Matilda swallowed, and she stepped down into the gloom. Colin the parakeet had been deposited in one of the antique bird cages in the shop, and his voice now echoed eerily down the cellar stairs as he sang, The doctor came with his bag and his hat, and he knocked on the door with a rat-a-tat-tat. Matilda's candle flame flickered, illuminating a large stone-walled cellar. Something quick and brown scuttled across the floor, and Matilda had to hold her breath to stop a scream coming out. It feels good to be on a case again, doesn't it, Lockett? Edgar enthused. Wonderful, Matilda whispered back. Down she went into the cellar, Edgar following behind. Without saying a word, Edgar leant forward and pointed towards the furthest corner of the room. Matilda held up her candle. The shape of a man drifted there, a dim, misty figure. He had his back to Matilda and Edgar, and he seemed to be looking at a wooden cabinet. No one, he said, in a deep and determined voice. Matilda's stomach clenched tight. Then 2 things happened in the same moment. The ghost man swung around and stepped towards Matilda, who gasped out loud, and the bell in the sunbright shop above them went dong as the front door opened and closed. Oh, exclaimed Miss Devine's voice. I didn't know there was a basement. To Matilda, in the spooky gloom of the cellar, the voice of Miss Devine seemed to be coming from another world entirely. Are you all right down there, Matilda? Miss Devine called down the steps. Have you found anything interesting? Matilda stood face to face with the ghost man, hardly daring to breathe. No, she managed to reply. Nothing interesting down here.
Right, that's great. Okay, won't be thinking of that tonight, will we? So that's great. Lucy, thank you very much. So Frankenstein and Lockett and Wilde, The Ghosts of London, are both out now. Lucy will be back with us in just a moment. But for now, Lucy Strange, thank you very much, Lucy. Speak to you in a minute. Thank you very much. Thank you. Right, it's time to welcome my next guest, back with some more chilling cereal, not chilling cereals. Doesn't sound right. Well, let's find out. Okay, it's Jennifer Killick. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi.
Right, fantastic. Okay, so serial chillers, The Witch in the Woods. Now, a lot of people will know you. Is that your dog?
Yes, sorry, I have really
the
bad
reason is-
timing. She's been quiet the whole time, and now she's decided this is the moment.
Well, I suddenly thought it sounded so. I thought it was in here, and I thought I don't have a dog.
Sorry.
That was really weird. That was a little bit spooky. Anyway, that's great. So, serial chillers, The Witch in the Woods. So, tell us a little bit more about it. You gave us a little kind of a glimpse there into the story, and because obviously this is the first of another series of books for you. So, tell us a bit more about the story.
Yeah, so it's the first in a series. The series is all set in a town called Hazard, where, as I said in that I really messed up 15-second thing, where loads of people disappear and die in mysterious circumstances. And there is a group of children who live in Hazard. They're 13, and at the beginning of the first book, they are given a history project where they have to research something of their local history. So they decide to choose one of the creepiest urban legends, which is given as a reason for why some people disappear in the woods, which is Blood-Eyed Mary. Now, Blood-Eyed Mary is allegedly a witch who lives in the woods, in a part of the woods where the trees grow really thickly together and the needles in the trees are so sharp that they slice your skin. Apparently, she lives in there. And if you step into that part of the woods, which is called Mary's Cauldron, if you see Mary, she will either take your eyes or your life so that you can never look at her again. So these kids have this project. They decide they're going to go into the woods. Nothing bad is going to happen, obviously, because it can't be real. And they obviously discover that Blood-Eyed Mary is very real, and she's very angry as well.
Nice. Okay, what inspired you to create such a sort of, because obviously you've had your successful the Dreadwood book stuff, but what inspired you to sort of create this other sort of weird sort of spooky place and setting? Was it sort of things that you had seen, or a bit like Lucy said, is it things that have sort of, or ideas that have scared you that kind of went into it?
I do always choose things that really scare me because, I mean, just as Lucy said, I think, when you're writing your characters' reactions to things, if you're feeling that fear yourself, you can do that really well. I have a bit of a fear of witches. At my primary school, we had some toilets that were supposed to be cursed by Bloody Mary. So it kind of started there. And once I feel
I'm probably going to toilet there. So no,
it was scary. They were creepy toilets. And then once I felt like I met a witch when I was a teenager. So I have a big witch thing. But I do love how there are those urban legends and those stories that not necessarily written down, but passed down through like gossip and secret whispers of these creepy things and these hauntings. And I just wanted to put all those into a town and have these poor characters have to experience them all. But you do find out that they're all connected in some way as well. And you find out that there's a lot more going on behind the scenes in Hazard that they don't necessarily know about. So lots of conspiracy, lots of mystery, and lots of horror.
Was those urban legends are interesting, aren't they? Because the things, I wonder how they started, and then I wonder how they grew over the years. What bits got added and added and added. So it's really, really sort of interesting. In fact, in your classroom, there's loads of them. It's all over the world, isn't there? So in your classroom, you can maybe do a bit of finding out about them, or make your own ones up. I think, which is a great
idea.
Thing. Do you think you would be as brave as your characters kind of have to be if you were in Hazard? Do you think, or not?
I think, do you know what? I think most people are much braver than they think they are. And I'm the kind of person, I get scared of absolutely everything. I'm the first person to scream at a jump scare. I'm the first person to hide behind my hands or a cushion. But I think for most of us, the fear of kind of waiting for something or anticipating something bad happening is worse than the actual thing itself. I think for most of us, when we're in a really scary situation, especially if we're with a really good group of people, our family or our friends or people who love us, people who support us, I think we can all be really brave. So I'd like to think that in that situation, I would, I'd be all right. I'd like to think that I'd be a welcome member of the team. I'd stand my ground, maybe good with some weapons, that sort of thing.
As long as they didn't ask you to go near a spooky toilet. So that as long as we haven't got that, but then you'll be fine. No, not there. No, it's not there. So we have a school question for you, Jennifer, and then you're going to give us a little reading as well. And I know this school's quite close to your heart. So let's have a little look. Here we go. Hermitage Primary School in Uxbridge. Hello, thank you for your question. Big wave. There's various reasons why it is close to Jennifer's heart. Here we go. Have you ever been scared by any of your own books at all?
So that is an excellent question, Hermitage Primary, of course. So for those of you who are listening but don't know, my son goes to Hermitage Primary. He's in Da Vinci class. So extra big shout out to you guys. It's lovely that you're here. Thank you for your question. So yes. I'm scared by my own books all the time. I have nightmares literally every night. There's some scenes in my book. There's a scene in the Dreadwood series involving Mrs. Latchet that I dream about a lot. It really, really scares me. So I use a lot of my own personal fears for my writing. So like a consequence of that is sadly that I don't sleep very well because I'm always having nightmares. But I do find it helps loads. And also I think when you are forced to explore your own fears, I think it does help you to kind of face them more bravely and overcome some of the panic and the fear. So, I try to think that, I'm helping myself in some way by forcing myself to confront these things.
That's a good answer. Good question as well. Thanks very much, Hermitage Primary School, Uxbridge. You're going to have to start writing books about butterflies and marshmallows and things like that, just to sort of calm down those night fears. Might be a good idea. Yes. Now, just to give you an idea of what's terrifying Jennifer at night time, it's her own writing and coming out of her own mind. She's going to give you a little reading from Serial Chillers. Here we go, Jennifer. Hand over to you for that.
Thank you very much. So this part in the story is when these four main characters who are called Travis, Zaid, Celine and Danielle, they have gone into the woods expecting to be, it's fine. They'll go in and have a look around. They'll leave. But Celine has an accident and they get lost and it's got dark. So now they're lost in the woods in the dark. And then this is what happens. Listen, I say, but I don't get to finish my thought, let alone my sentence. Because behind us, from deep in the cauldron, another shriek pierces the woods, and it's wild and full of rage and suffering, and it makes me want to cut my own ears off. I thought I'd already heard the worst screams in the world today, but I was wrong. We all stop walking and grab each other's arms, and that saying about your blood running cold makes sense to me for the first time in my life. It's like my veins are filled with glacier melt, and my heart has been frozen into a useless lump of ice. The moon above us is full and a supernatural white, and my mind is filled with images of werewolves howling at the sky, then hunting in packs for human flesh to feast on. The world at night is a very different place to the daytime space we live in, especially in Hazard, and I've never felt that more than right now. It sounds like something woke up, Zaid whispers. You think it's Blood-Eyed Mary, I say, because I'm sure that's what we're all thinking. Less speculating, more walking, Celine says, planting her crutch on the forest floor and swinging herself forward. And she doesn't say anything else about splitting up. So we hurry on, no talking, just walking and listening. I'm trying to control my breathing because I feel like it's too heavy, and my heartbeat because it's thumping so hard that I can hear it. I don't want to miss any sounds from the woods behind us, any sign that we're being followed, that something's coming after us. Somewhere in the woods, a flock of birds takes flight, screeching angrily like they've been disturbed. And I realise that for the entire time we've been in the cauldron, we've barely seen any life. If there are any creatures living here, birds, squirrels, wildcats, they stay hidden, or at least they do when there are people nearby. Maybe they're scared. We must be almost out now, right? Zaid says, as long as we've kept walking in the same direction. Yeah, although it's easy to go off course without having something to point the way. Danielle jogs ahead a few steps, climbing a mound that rises up out of the earth like a wave on a rough sea. She switches on the torch on her phone and shines it into the woods beyond. I actually feel like I recognise this place, she says. I think we're nearly... I'm already on my way to join her on the mound, hoping to see what she's seeing, a chink of hope that we're getting out of here. I look up at her face, lit by the unnatural torchlight, so that every feature casts a deep shadow on her skin. Her eyes are bright, her mouth curved into a half smile, looking just like she did when we played together as kids. But then, in front of my eyes, she just drops. Not like she's ducked or fallen, but like the ground has opened up underneath her feet and left her with nothing solid to stand on. I see in her eyes the moment the fear hits. But as she disappears from sight, she doesn't even have time to scream.
Thanks, Jennifer. That's just really give me another thing on top of what Lucy already said, is just to sort of add to my sleep tonight. Thank you very much. Jennifer's going to stay with us. We're going to bring Lucy back, and we're going to play the first, which you're going to join within your classroom, of Would You Rather Spooky. Okay, brilliant. So Jennifer and Lucy here. Okay, so we're going to play a little game, and you can play along with this in your classroom if you wish. Very, very simple. What I'm going to do, I'm going to ask, would you rather A or B, for example? And in your classrooms, I'll ask the question, and in your classrooms, you can put your hands up if you'd rather A, and then you can put your hands up if you'd rather B. And your teacher can just see which went, bit of fun, how many of you would rather A or B. For our authors, they're going to do the same thing, hands up, but they're going to explain why they would rather one over the other. And of course, it being a spooky kind of show, they're both spooky options they've got to go for. Okay, so ready in your classrooms? Jennifer, are you ready? Lucy, are you ready? Here we go. So first one up, okay? Remember in your classrooms, I'll ask the question. Wait till I've said, would you rather this or that? And then put your hands up for each. So question 1, would you rather spend the night in a haunted house or a haunted forest? So hands up if haunted house. Hands up if haunted forest. There we go. Okay, how'd you got it in your classrooms? Okay, haunted house, haunted forest. Okay, so Jennifer, with yours the haunted house, was it?
Yes.
Why would you rather spend your night in a haunted house than a haunted forest?
Partly I have an obsession with like abandoned buildings and things. So just out of pure nosiness and just I love the idea of like creeping around an abandoned house and opening the doors. But I also feel like if you're in a haunted house, you can you have escape routes. If something bad really happens, you could go out the door, run outside. If you're in a haunted forest, you're just stuck there. You're lost. There's no escape. There's your history. So I feel like haunted house offers the best chance of escape.
Okay, Lucy's nodding the head there. But then again, Lucy, we did say about being trapped and stuff, didn't we? So Lucy, what about yourself?
I feel like Jennifer's like the girl in the horror film who goes into the haunted house and like you're there on the sofa going, go in! What do you do that?
It's the haunted house.
Yeah. So I'm hiding up a tree, Mr. Dilly. I haven't climbed a tree in probably about 40 years, but I'm gonna hide up a tree. That's what I'm going to do in the forest.
Okay, what if the tree is like a possessed tree? That's a bad move. You think I should have been in the house with Jennifer? That'd been much better with a roof.
I mean, I may live to regret it. Who can say?
Fantastic. Okay, here we go. Hope you're enjoying that classroom. Here we go. So we're going to have a couple more of these. Here we go. Would you rather be chased by a zombie or chased by a vampire? So if you'd like to be chased by a zombie, please put your hands up. If you'd rather be chased by a vampire, please put your hands up. Okay, so obviously vampires are a popular choice here. Is it the cloaks? I don't know. Okay, so why Jennifer? Why a vampire over a zombie?
I think I'd rather be chased by literally anything than a zombie. Zombies, I love zombies. I love zombie movies. I have this like a morbid fascination with them, but they absolutely horrify me. The thought of something just that wants to come and just wants to eat you. It just wants to eat you. That's just the worst. Like a vampire, maybe they're going to suck some blood. Maybe they're going to be creepy. It's still horrible, but zombies for me are like just an ultimate fear.
The vampire's not going to eat you completely up, is he?
They're just.
You know what I mean? So there's a bit left, but the zombie's going to go straight in.
Yeah, they might turn you into
no knife and fork, no table manners, just straight in. It's just
yeah.
Okay,
if a zombie goes after you, you're getting eaten.
Exactly. So is that the same thing with you, Lucy? Is it the eating thing, or is it just the general aroma?
like Jennifer, it's literally anything other than a zombie. For me, it's like that relentless, slow walk. There's something about it that's scarier than something chasing you fast. I don't know why, but that relentless, slow walk, it's like a sense of that they're going to get you in the end. And there's nothing you can do about it. It's just, oh, yeah.
I know. This is horrible. Who came up with this stuff? Okay, this is great. Okay, last one of Would You Rather. Okay, I've got a couple of questions. Going to choose wisely. Okay. Oh, here we go. This is actually, I think I know the answer to this one, but for me, I don't know if anyone else. Would you rather fight an army of skeletons or a giant spider? So an army of skeletons or a giant spider. Anybody? Okay. Army of skeletons? Giant spider. Are you army of skeletons, Lucy? Oh, which one are you? Army of skeletons?
I think so. I mean, it's not the easiest choice I've ever made.
It's not. You got an army, and then you got a one thing, but it's a spider. So so Lucy, what's the army of skeletons? Why would you like to fight them?
Well, in my head, this is quite a cartoony sort of scene, and I've got access to something like a bowling ball, Mr. Dilly, and I can just kind of bowl a bowling ball, and they'll all go, and all the skeletons will all just, there'll just be a pile of bones on the floor. I feel like that.
Can I make a suggestion? Can that appear in one of your next books, please? That particular scene, that would be quite a
with
nice
a bowling ball.
They all appear, and then one of the characters just don't worry about it. And then that's it, over. Just a very quick thing. Yeah. That'd be lovely. Jennifer, what was yours? The spider or the skeletons?
The spider. And actually, this is interesting because me and Ted on our walks to school, these kind of questions, we ask these like every day. And we always have one where it's a giant bear or a spider or something, and I have this feeling that I would be able to befriend it and make it my pet. So then the giant spider, I would tame it, and then it would let me ride it, and I could just ride around on my giant spider. And this is one of my dreams, that I get to befriend a giant animal in life. I really want a bear, but a spider would work as well. So I'm gonna go with spider. I'm gonna befriend it, and then it's gonna become like my bodyguard, and I'm gonna ride it.
So if we ever see a giant spider walking through town with someone on it, it's probably going to be you.
It's me. Oh, that's my dream. That is my dream.
I really want Jennifer to write the Spider Riders. The Spider
Riders.
The Spider Riders. Okay, there we go. This is fantastic. Okay, now Jennifer and Lucy are back with us. Well, actually, we're going to stay with us, actually, and we're going to get Emma and Padina back. But we're going to finish this particular Would You Rather. We're going to have more of that later on, and then we're going to get our other two guests on for our Haunted Quick Draw. Thank you very much. Jennifer and Lucy, speak to you in just a minute. Okay, we're all here now. Now, I've got some other fancy titles for you. It's a Haunted Quick Draw. It gives everyone a chance to make sure you have a piece of paper in front of you and a pen or a pencil. It's a very, very simple Haunted Quick Draw. We're all going to join along with while you're getting those titles, and then we're into it. Here we go. Okay, Haunted Quick Draw time. This is very, very simple, very, very fun. You don't have to have no drawing experience whatsoever. I'm sure that's a relief to a lot of our authors today, or maybe they're just closet amazing illustrators. Who knows? I don't know. So what we're going to do is I'm going to say the thing you're going to draw, and there's plenty of imagination you can use to do this. Okay, and then as soon as I've done that, I'm going to give 60 seconds on my clock here. There'll be some music playing for that 60 seconds, and you're going to draw your thing. In your classrooms, of course, try and do it by yourself without anyone seeing if possible, but it doesn't matter. I know you're sitting next to other people. At the end of that 60 seconds, okay, the authors are going to do, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and they're going to reveal to the screen their incredible works of art. I mean, I think it's going to be something, I don't even know what, but it's going to be something, okay? And you can do it in the classroom. You can show each other, hold it all up. Maybe your teachers can pick a winner. Whatever you want to do, we can do that, okay? So pen and paper, pen, pencil, bit of paper at the ready. Okay. And we're going to be 60 seconds. So 1 minute on the timer. And this is the thing you've got to draw. Okay. Think of this first of all. It's a zombie pet parade. You can draw a zombie dog, a zombie cat, a zombie hamster, all of them together. Whatever you want to do, 60 seconds starts now. If we go. Okay, time is up. Time is up. Time is up. Okay, right. Right. So, PJ's already in hysterics and hasn't even did our own drawing, so I don't know anyone else's yet. Okay, so in your classrooms, okay, we're going to give a 1, 2, 3, and you can hold your drawings up in your classrooms on the 1, 2, 3, or you can wait to see the authors and you can show each other later on, whatever you want to do. Okay, so Jennifer, Lucy, Emma, and PJ. Okay, on a count of 3, you're going to hold up your zombie pet parade for today's haunted quick draw. Ready? 1. Can't wait for this. I'm very excited. 2, 3. Off we go.
Oh, my dog's getting involved.
That's really good. Oh, they're all really good. I really like it. They're all pretty terrifying, to be honest with you. That is Jennifer. What's going on there?
Is that a bear?
It's a bear, and his intestines are coming out, and that's his paw that's come off, and his eyeball is hanging out as well.
Oh my goodness.
That is really
that's really good.
Lucy, what's going on with yours there?
Well, it's a cat, but I thought I was just going to draw a cat walking along, and I couldn't think how to make it scary. And I thought cat standing on their back legs really freaks me out. So it's walking on its back legs, and it's
Has
kind
he
of
just dribbling profusely, or is he lost his teeth, or what's happened there?
No, he's just been eating some raw flesh, Mr. Dilly. So it's all kind of dribbling.
Nice, that's nice. PJ, a bit closer to the camera if we can, just PJ, if we can, with yours. What's going? Oh, that's very good. That's like
dog.
So I was thinking of Notting Hill Carnival. So that's why there's a speaker sound system playing music. And there's the cat. You can see his ribs poking out there, the hole in his tummy. But he also has a little headdress on. And then I drew a bunny, and he's got bat wings because he's a spooky carnival bunny goat. And he's got little X's in his eyes because he's dead.
That's very, very good. And finally, Emma, what's going on with yours there?
I've no idea. I mean, goodness knows what this is. This is a bull terrier. My brother's got a bull terrier, and I love English bull terriers. So he looks like he's charging in for the kill, although they're the daftest dogs ever. This is some kind of pig hybrid, which I've got no idea about at all, and I don't know what's going on with this leg. And I don't know what this is. I think I don't know. It's like
it looks like the aftermath of what's happened when Jennifer's zombie Teddy is just sort of like gone into a pet shop.
Yeah, it's just like a creature with a head and arms, and that's
it. To be honest with you, I think they're very, very good, and I think you could sign them and get them sold off. Very, very good. So we're going to give them a round of applause. Emma is going to stay with us. That's today of Ends Haunted Quick Draw, and back more with Emma in a minute. And Lucy, Jennifer, and PJ will be back a little bit later on in the show. So thank you very much for that. Emma, that was great. Really, really good. Thank you very much. But you amazed yourself. I feel like, what? That was in my mind. I know. It's an incredible thing. One of those things. So Dracula now. So this is obviously, we mentioned Frankenstein with Lucy earlier on. And Dracula, obviously, character all kids know. But once again, you've got these ideas of them from games and from different films and cartoons and all kinds of stuff. But actual Dracula as a character is a very, very different one in the books. But you've taken it a little bit further and given it another kind of spin with Dracula and his daughter. So basically, how have you sort of done that? Why have you done that, and what have you done with it?
So when I love Gothic. Obviously, I'm here. I love Gothic books. I love Gothic stories. I've written a book before called Strange Star, which is like a take on the retelling of Frankenstein. So it's in my writing DNA, really. This love of old Gothic stories. And with Dracula and Daughters, I've gone to the book of Dracula, and I was rereading it with a sort of view of what can I do with this book? Where are there openings to kind of develop the story in a different direction? And what I realized was that the very first victim in Bram Stoker's Dracula is a young woman called Lucy Westenra. And that immediately made me think, my little feminist heart start to kind of feel a little bit enraged. And I was thinking, well, this isn't necessarily something that a modern reader is going to be massively appreciative of. Let's kind of see where we can explore that. So in my Dracula and Daughters story, the characters are all female, they're cousins, and they discover that they're related to Dracula. But our main character is a girl called Mina. Now, Mina takes her name from the Book of Dracula, because there is also a female character in the book called Mina, who is very good friends with Lucy Westenra. And when you read the book, you realise that although Van Helsing is the big vampire, expert, it's actually Mina who behind the scenes gets stuff done and keeps things happening. So I thought I need Mina to be my hero in my story. So the story is told from the point of view of Mina. Now, Mina really wants to be a doctor. That is her passion. And she works for a doctor called Dr. Polidori, who has promised her that one day she will be able to attend his medical lectures and be able to join the ranks of all the other doctors in the city in which they live. But the problem is that girls in this city called Thamestown finish school at the age of 12. So there are no opportunities for girls to further their education, which is another thing that makes our character very frustrated and very angry. So eventually she decides to take matters into her own hands. And the very first line of Dracula and Daughters is, "It's November, midnight, the perfect time to steal a corpse." So she has decided that the way she's going to get into these anatomy lectures is to turn up with some anatomy of her own that she's gone and pilfered from the graveyard. So
is the vamp? I mean, this different take on it is a brilliant take, but vampires themselves are such sort of I don't know the actual history of them, like before Dracula itself. Whether it was whether that was just sort of Eastern European thing or that was a common kind of thing. But why have they become such sort of timeless, popular characters? Do you think a vampire in itself? And we have when we think of vampires, but there's different versions we think about. But obviously, the Dracula, he's not even like that in the actual book, is he? But the sort of the black cloak and the sort of the black hair and stuff. He's a bit different from that. So, why are they such sort of timeless, popular characters for all of us, really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was the really interesting thing about writing this story was of going back pre-Dracula. So where does the myth of a vampire come from? And you look at cultures all around the world, and they all have a version of a vampire type creature that takes something from the living. So it is a global type of kind of evil creature, really. So you find them in South America, you find them in or just all over the world. India, African countries have them. It's a common universal story sort of trope, if you like. But the Eastern European stuff came about as a result of people traveling around Europe in the 18th century and coming across some accounts of people having very strange disease symptoms, which, with the advances in medicine, we realized that were things like rabies and tuberculosis and, diseases like that, which had a medical kind of explanation. But before the science caught up with that, people actually believed that was due to them becoming vampires. So you had symptoms like people becoming incredibly pale or people being scared of water.
Is that right? Wow, that's amazing.
Absolutely. And it's really fascinating when you look into it. So Dracula itself was written published in 1897. But he's not even the first cloak-wearing vampire. The first cloak-wearing vampire was in a book called The Vampire that was written by John Polidori. So I've used his name in my book.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And was based on Lord Byron, because Polidori was Lord Byron's physician. And he came up with the story the same night that Mary Shelley came up with the idea for Frankenstein, because they were all friends together, hanging out at the Villa Diodati. So he was the first one who created this cape-wearing vampire. Previously to that, the sort of vampires that existed were farmers and people who lived in villages in Eastern Europe who happened to die unpleasant deaths. So that's a complete fiction, the whole cape-wearing vampire motif.
But it's the bit because there's a bit in Dracula and the actual story Dracula. I don't know if you've used this in your story when he goes. Dracula goes out the window and he crawls down the walls, doesn't he? And it's Jonathan Harker. Is that the guy? That's the guy. Yeah. And he sees this figure coming out and crawling down crawling down the walls of that. Have you got any sort of wall crawling going on in yours?
Yes, there's a wall crawling scene.
I don't like that.
Homage to that bit. So yeah, it's a really, I mean, Dracula is an amazing story. It's a great romp. But just going back to your question about, well, why are people so interested in vampires? When you look at Gothic writing, like vampire stories, there is often a hidden meaning. The vampire is often a metaphor for something else. So if you think about these stories that have creatures that take something from the living, that are a threat in some way, that are different from us and we fear them, then you can see quite quickly parallels to how people behave in the modern world. So this sense of fearing otherness, things that we don't quite understand. We see a lot of that in the world now. With
absolutely,
how we behave towards people who come from different cultures or different backgrounds to us. And it's a very it's something that's existed. Bram Stoker was Irish. Bram Stoker was Irish and was writing in the 19th century after the Irish famine. So he is using this aristocratic, very posh, upright count in his cape as the bloodsucker. So, it doesn't take much thinking to what's his message really? There's a sort of political angle to this. And that really intrigued me as well.
That's brilliant. Can you give us a little read? We've got a school question for you. We do that after.
Yeah.
Give a look. This is going to sound wrong. It's like give us a little taster. That doesn't work for vampires, do it? Give us a little.
What happens in the story is that Mina, with her desperation to become a doctor, actually discovers in Dr. Polidori's office a long forgotten book, which is written by a female, and in it she realizes that there is this theory that Professor Lucy Westenra has come up with, that vampires can be organized, if you like, into categories, and they can actually be healed rather than culled with a hawthorn stake. So this is one of those types of vampire that she discovers exists, and this type of vampire is one that she comes across pretty quickly in the story. The Shroud Eater. Frequency uncommon, often heard chewing rather than seen. Appearance wears white, always eating or chewing. Thin, gaunt, pleading appearance suggesting extreme hunger. Slow moving yet persistent. Red eyes. Favoured location: graveyards, funeral wakes, sculleries, especially on wash day. Method of infecting: a bite between the eyes. Favoured victims: no discernible favourite, will attack and eat anything. Likes: cotton sheets, velvet curtains, leather saddlebags, hopsack linen shrouds. Fears: soapy water. Danger rating: 5 out of 10. Treatment plan: at moonrise, feed whole garlic bulbs. Repeat nightly until 40 bulbs in total have been consumed. To be done before the new moon. Given the Shroud Eater's propensity for eating, treatment is generally well tolerated, though a lifetime dislike of garlic may be a permanent side effect. Advisory: do not be fooled by the Shroud Eater's slow movements. They have a vicious bite.
There we go. Fantastic. I love that. It's like a sort of an elongated top trump, isn't it? Sort of, that sort of. It is really, really good. Okay, Here we go. So there's a quick school question for you, Emma. Here we go. So Lingmore Primary in Lincolnshire. Thank you for your question. If you could be any scary creature, what would you be and why, do you think?
Oh, hi, Lingmore. Do you know, I would be a vampire.
You would?
Because I think, I'd love to be. I think they are really intriguing characters, because you've got someone who's out for revenge, usually. That vampires tend to be vengeful. They tend to be angry at the fact they're dead. So there's that side of being a vampire. You also have got the sense that they come out at night, but they go back to where they came from in the daytime. So you get to have lots of lie-ins, which is quite nice.
That's nice.
Although I have to say, I've just realised that vampires, drink blood. Most vampires drink blood. Not all of them do, but most of them drink blood. And I'm a vegetarian, so I'm not quite sure how that would sit with me, actually.
Be a very short life.
I think I'd be hungry quite a lot of the time, wouldn't I?
Vampire.
Yeah, never mind. But
Yeah.
but no, I think they're really intriguing characters, and I think also they're very strong and they move very quickly, and they're very
And
clever.
they also well, if you're like the Bram Stoker, you get a nice cloak, which is a bonus, especially in the winter, and also they generally have really good hair. So I think that's
They
that's
do
kind
have
of
quite good hair. Yeah,
So I
and
think
teeth. The dent, the dental.
very
works
good
well.
teeth, very good teeth as well. So that's a good thing. So that you'd be a vampire. Thank you very much. Now, Emma is going to join us again in a moment. We're going to go to our next guest, but for now, Emma Carroll, Dracula and his daughters coming up later on. Okay, thanks, Emma. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so welcome my last guest, and then we have Emma and PJ for another Would You Rather, and then everyone back together again for our Frights and Delights author panel as well. So let's welcome back PJ Killburn. Hello, PJ. Okay. Right.
Hello.
You suitably terrified yet of all the other authors' books?
Oh, absolutely terrified. Also, I can't wait to read them.
I know, incredible, isn't it?
I'm going to get every single book.
Yeah, not nightmare. So, PJ, lovely to have you with us. So, you mentioned in your 15 seconds, your book mixes sort of Jamaican kind of folklore. I mean, Emma was just talking about, the background of vampires and all over the world and stuff like that. So these creatures and stories and folklore are kind of all over the world in different ways. And you mix this sort of Jamaican folklore with a really creepy ghost story. Why did you want to bring those sort of legends into this story, and how have you done that? I'll hand over to you for that.
Well, part of the reason why I wanted to blend all these stories together is because I grew up with them myself. I grew up in the Caribbean. I grew up on a small island named St. Lucia. And it was just a part of storytelling for me. So I grew up with a lot of, I guess, European-based folklore. Like I grew up with vampires and zombies and stuff. But I also grew up with these folk tales, these Caribbean folk tales. And so for me, when I think of, I guess, the horror stories that I heard as a child, these are the stories that I heard. And I wanted to be able to share that with other children and just have fun getting scared together.
Well, were these stories you heard as a child, were they sort of ones that kind of like I don't know, they're like I don't know, the creepy fairy tales of things people sort of just know, you just sort of hear about at school and people sort of talk about, or how were they sort of told, or did was it people in your family told them? How were they sort of given across to you, these stories?
A lot of these stories are very much based in gossip. So you always hear about a cousin is walking down the street and they bump into a duppy, or a friend of a friend of a friend went to a funeral and they looked over the shoulder at the cemetery and saw a ghost. And it's almost like baked into everyday conversation. So 1 minute you're like, oh, how are you? And next minute you're like, oh, you saw what?
Yeah, I'd go for that. Tell us a bit more about the book. So you tell us about in the 15 seconds. So tell us a little bit about the what readers can expect if they read your book, the sort of characters and the sort of, without giving too much away, the sort of journey they can expect to go on with it. So let me hand over to you to tell us a bit more about it.
So a quick note just on what a dead yard is. A dead yard is a Caribbean funeral. It's also known as a 9 night. And it's where we sort of celebrate the life and mourn the death of someone's passing, usually every night for 9 nights, up until their funeral. So the main character, his name is Jermaine. He is a horror movie lover and he's an aspiring film director. And he is of Caribbean descent. Specifically, he is of part Jamaican descent. And he is invited to his great uncle's dead yard. And one of the rules of a dead yard is you're not allowed to eat any of the food before midnight because the ghosts have to have it first. So the person who passed needs to get a chance to eat. And then once it's midnight, everyone else can eat. But Jermaine doesn't know that. And he's also very hungry. So he sees his mom's Jamaican patties and they smell amazing. And it's like 10:53 p.m. and he's like, I just need to eat. I don't need to see any of the old people in my life. I don't need to hang out with my cousins. I just need one patty. And he eats one and his great uncle comes back as a ghost and is very, very upset at him. because of this. And so
That's
the whole
like a
story,
really bad acid reflux gone terribly wrong, which is
Yeah.
that happened. You mentioned about your aunt, the uncle, and the family setting of the book. Do you think? Why do you think? Just quickly, why do you think horror stories can be a good way to explore sort of big themes like family and friendship? Is it because they're scary and people then sort of get together more? Why do you think that is?
I do think that. I think that a big part of overcoming a horror is being able to depend on your resources. So depending on your friends and family and finding a way to be brave, even in the strength of even in the face of fear, you find the strength to keep on going. And you can get a lot of strength from your friends and your family and people who love you. And I think that that's probably the most important part of these folk tales, that these bad things happen, but you can always overcome them with the power of your community behind you.
That's a good message. And I suppose also, as we were saying, that not just with the Jamaican folklore, but as Emma was touching on, we said earlier, but these stories all over the world, they're things that everybody knows. So there's all these sort of fears and monsters, and it's something we all fear. So we all have, the need to sort of get together and sort of cling on to our family and loved ones tighter with these sort of fears out there. Can I hand over to you? Give us a little reading from Dead Yard, if that's okay, and then we've got a school question for you after. If that's okay, PJ. Here we go.
Okay. So for reference, Jermaine has just had a party, and his family have caught him, as has his great-great-uncle. Jermaine Augustus Campbell. Oh no, that voice sounded way more familiar. His mum, granny, and great-grandma were all rushing outside towards him. Caught red-handed, he dropped the patty guiltily, palms raised in the air. Did you eat from Uncle Carl's table? Miss Nell demanded, looking really upset. No, Jermaine lied, trying to lick the crumbs from his lips before anyone noticed. That's his food, said Miss Nell. You can't eat it before midnight, when his spirit passes on to the afterlife. You have to give him a chance to eat first, especially on the 9th night of his passing. Sorry, Miss Nell, I didn't know, Jermaine stammered. He was used to upsetting his mum, but not his great-granny. I didn't mean to. Granny Maxine put an arm around Miss Nell and squeezed. It's okay, Mum, she consoled. It's very close to midnight. And Uncle Carl didn't really eat much anyway. I'm sure he wouldn't have minded. That's not the point. The same gravelly voice from before belonged to a vaguely familiar old man who had appeared next to the back door. You young people don't know anything about your culture. Bad upbringing. You better not go soft on the boy now. Lord have mercy, this English children don't know nothing. The creepy old man continued to run as Mum ushered them all back into the house. Neither his mum nor Granny Maxine nor Miss Nell paid attention to the man. It was almost as though they couldn't hear him. Under the warm kitchen lighting, the old man looked especially dusty and unkempt. A frown set in his face. Why you ignoring me, boy? You see, Nell? Them have no respect. Send him to Jamaica where he'll learn discipline. Jermaine glared at the grumpy old man and was about to shoot a biting remark back when he noticed the large commemorative booklet on the table. It was funny. He'd recorded it on his camcorder, but he hadn't properly looked at it before. Well, he was looking at it now, because the person in the middle of the cover page, surrounded by flowers and clouds, looked a little too familiar, what with the subject's dusty suit, trilby, and permanent frown. Jermaine's jaw dropped as his eyes bounced between the booklet and the grumpy old man who was still ranting about the failure of the youth. Yep, they were the same person. His great-great-uncle Carl was back, and he seemed pretty cross about it.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. Now, just to say very, very quickly, we got to just put the part 2 thing out because we're over for part 2. So if you do need to head off, this is the good point, but you can catch up, of course, the rest later on. And we just kind of have a quick school question with PJ, and then we are back with Emma and PJ, and then all the authors back. By the way, Christopher Edge and Phil Hickes are on the show, but they're pre-recorded. They'll be coming up in just a moment. Here we go. Okay, a quick school question for you here, PJs. This is from Mayfield School in Portsmouth. Why did you choose to write horror/spooky books? Any thoughts about that?
Thank you for your question, Mayfield. I love writing and I love telling stories. And I think I kind of just fell into it. One day I woke up and thought, I love horror stories, but I'm also a complete scaredy cat. So could I write a horror story that I'd both enjoy and be a little bit afraid of afterwards? And so that's how it started. I started writing scary and scarier things, and then it became a book.
Did you find you thinking about it at nighttime or in your dreams and stuff as well, or not?
Every once in a while, yeah. Especially when I'm like out late at night and I'm like, what's behind me?
That's really, really good. Okay, now PJ, PJ's going to stay with us. We're going to welcome back Emma for another Would You Rather you can play along with in your classrooms. And then we go to meet all our guests again for our final Frights and Delights author panel. Here we go. Okay, so welcome back to Emma, Carroll as well. Okay, so you remember how to play this in your classrooms? You remember how to play this together? So I'll just go through it again. I'm going to give you two options, an A or a B, or would you rather. And in your classrooms, you put your hand up if it's option A, put your hand up if it's option B. You can have a sort of see who amongst you would prefer one over the other. You can talk about it after the show today. But we're going to, from our authors, we're going to see which one they prefer, and they're going to put their hand up depending on which one it is. But they're going to have to explain briefly why it is they prefer that particular option. So Emma, PJ, are we ready? Here we go. So here we go. First of all, would you rather explore a creepy attic or a dark cellar? So creepy attic, hands up. Dark cellar, hands up. Okay, so interesting. Right, so you both went for the creepy attic option. So Emma, why the creepy attic?
To be honest, I'd actually go for either. I'd be quite interested in. I'm quite nosy, like one of your other guests said. So I'd be up there having a little root around. I think the attic possibly is more intriguing because there might be less spiders up there. I don't know.
Apart from Jennifer on her one.
Well, exactly, yeah. So the thought of Jennifer riding a spider would be enough to put me off going down into that. That's going to stay with me forever. The spider riders.
It will do.
Yeah.
What about you, PJ? Why the creepy attic?
I'm with you on being nosy. I would also do either, but I think I picked the attic because if I had to escape, it's easier to run downstairs than upstairs. Like imagine you're running out of a cellar and you just get out of breath. The zombies are looking at you and you're just on the stairs like
stuck, aren't you? Got nowhere to go. Yeah. So I think that's a
right?
very good option. That's really good. Okay, here we go. So next one. We've spoken about both these characters today, and one of them is in the title of Emma's book. But here we go. Would you rather stay overnight in Dracula's castle or Frankenstein's lab? So Dracula's castle, hands up. Frankenstein's lab, hands up. Okay, here we go. So, PJ, you went for Frankenstein's lab. Why is that?
That was a tough decision for me, but part of it is because I have a science background. So I think I'd be really interested just to see like, what's your lab setup? Like, what kind of chemicals do you use? Like, can we make other things? Can we make the Powerpuff Girls in there, or is it just Frankenstein? I would mess around with it. I would make so many things.
You'd be asking lots of questions, like, what's the sort of the bloke lying on the table made out of other body parts? Well, oh, don't worry.
Is he sleeping?
Yeah, is he sleeping? Lots of noise. That's good. Emma, you went for Dracula's castle. Is it for obvious reasons? Because
because he goes out at night, doesn't he? Because he's a vampire.
Yeah.
So
it's so
true. So he's never around. So
he should sleep during the day. So
hang on. Yeah, but he goes out looking for victims, doesn't he? So he kind of like that's when he sees him going. So I think you'd probably be all right at night if you were locked in. Although the trouble is, he does have guests that turn up.
He does.
Who are also eager, and they are quite troublesome. So, but I just think it would be a fascinating place to go and visit. And you'd certainly kind of soak up a bit of atmosphere. And because of the type of vampire that he is, he's very good to his guests. So in the book, he actually makes sure Jonathan Harker can't get out, so he's locked in, but he's very well looked after. I mean, I think it probably would be a 5-star hotel.
I think it would be.
Sport.
So I think that's pretty good option. Okay, last one. Here we go. Last one, but would you rather in your classrooms? Here we go. Would you rather walk through, this is horrible, I don't like this, a forest full of scarecrows or a graveyard full of statues? So, forest full of scarecrows, put your hands up. Really? Okay, or a graveyard full of statues, put your hands up. Okay, so very quickly, PJ, why a forest full of scarecrows?
I mean, scarecrows are just made of straw, right? Like, one match and poof,
Oh, that's true. You've got a handy box of matches. That's good. And what about you chose the statue, Emma? Is that right?
I did, because there's a village near mine that holds a scarecrow festival every year.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely blooming terrifying. But that people put them at the end of their drives, and when you go through the village in your car, you're like, oh,
I know.
Like that.
There's a place here. Lucy was at a book fest at Cookfield up the road here, village up the road, and they have one. It's terrifying. There's just random scarecrows all over the village. It's absolutely terrifying. I know.
There is this word called unheimlich, which is in a German word, which describes things that are very similar to reality, but not quite. And I think that's what's so scary about scarecrows, is that they sort of look like a person, but they're not. And it's the fact they're not that makes them really. It's that eeriness about them that makes me
like
jump.
The uncanny valley.
The uncanny valley, indeed.
This is horrible. Okay, PJ and Emma are staying with us. That's the end of our second Would You Rather. We're going to break all our guests for our author panel, and then we have the pre-record of Christopher Edge and Phil Hickes. Told you it was a long show. Here we go. Okay, all the gang are here for this. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so Frights and Delights author panel. We're going to ask some spooky questions for our guests today, and we're going to see what sort of spooks them out and any other thoughts they have. Here we go. So let's start with you, Jennifer. Welcome back. Okay.
Hi.
What scared you most when you were a child, and would it still scare you today?
Well, apart from everything, I'd say the particular thing was probably clowns, like creepy clowns, circus clowns, killer clowns. And yes, 100%. If you see a clown, do not go near it. They are evil. They mean you harm. No clowns, please.
No clowns. Lucy, what about you?
Yeah, I can go with scarecrows. And interesting, very interesting to hear the scarecrow conversation. And I think it is that sense of, it's so lifelike. I really like that unheimlich. Unheimlich, Emma?
Unheimlich. Yeah.
Excellent word. But yeah, because they're so human-esque and yet not. And there's always that sense of, is there something inside it? Is there a living thing inside it? Or that there was this brilliant, scary old kids' TV show called Round the Twist that was on when I was little. And there's an episode with the scarecrow, and it's under a bed, I think. Anyway, that's it.
Now we're all thinking that all night.
Really, So I'm going to go with scarecrows. That stayed with me. And
just
again,
make sure you're with PJ, because she's got a box of matches with her. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Emma, what about you? Emma, what about yourself?
Do you know, I always had this fear of a face appearing at my bedroom window at night. You know how dark glass is if you haven't got your curtains drawn. And my cousins always used to read this my older cousins used to read this magazine called Jackie, and it always used to have photo stories in it where they tell the story like in a comic strip, but it was with photos. And there was this one ghost story that was about a girl who opened her bedroom curtains at night, and there was this white face pressed up against the glass, and they knew it would absolutely terrify me, my cousins. So they showed me this picture, and I could not get it out of my head. Well, I still think about it now when I see dark glass at night, dark glass. That what would it, what happens when?
Yeah,
it's just a terrifying image that never left me.
And of course, children, any of you watching are not going to have that in your head at all. That's great. Okay, sounds good.
Sorry.
And PJ, what about yourself?
When I was a kid, it was definitely spiders. So it was funny to hear about the giant spider riding. But I live in Australia. I'm actually in Australia right now. And so I've kind of had to face the fear of giant spiders because they are everywhere.
Yeah, I bet
Definitely had to get through that.
Couldn't do that. Just quickly for we got a couple more. We fit them in. Why do you think it's fun to be scared in a story, but not so much in real life? And obviously, your books kind of do that in that way. So, Jennifer, why do you think it's kind of we like that sort of sense of being scared in that way, but not actually in real life necessarily?
I mean, partly what I said earlier, I think like when we're scared in stories, it's that nice safe way. So if you're scared in a book, you can put that book down, you can put the book away. I quite like being a little bit scared in real life as well. I kind of enjoy that. I think it's the little adrenaline rush you get. Like when someone jump scares you, which I just think is the most funny thing ever. When someone jump scares you and your heart just goes, oh, and you're like, and then it's that nice feeling afterwards when you realize, oh, okay, it's no one's going to murder me now. It's just a bit of fun and you can laugh. And I just think that nice little adrenaline spike kind of makes you feel kind of nice. So, yeah, I mean, as I said, I get scared really easily, but I like being a little bit scared in real life, but I do definitely like being scared within stories more because I know I can put it down and put it away and turn it off and I'm going to be okay.
That's brilliant. Okay, Lucy, what about you? Anything to add to that? Is it the same sort of thing?
No, I agree with you. You can close a book. You're in control in a way that perhaps you aren't quite so much with just the immediacy of being able to close a book and put it in the freezer or, under the mattress or whatever. But the other thing I can say, Joe, I realised that I've been waffling on about Lockett and Wilde without once mentioning the incredible artist Pam Smye. So I've got to give a shout out for Pam Smye here. And the thing I was going to mention relevant to this question is how in a lot of our stories, the fear is balanced with humour. And I think that also makes it much more palatable, and it takes the nightmarish edge off it. And I was just going to share a couple of her amazing illustrations here. That's the junk shop. Oopsie. That's the junk shop. Nice, lovely. Wilde in the junk shop, and we've got Colin, the naughty parakeet, and he brings an element of humour to it as well. So, but kind of balancing the fear with kind of warmth and humour.
Also, do you think just to come to you, Emma and PJ for that, do you think having that makes the frightening stuff more frightening because you have the bit when you sort of the humour relaxes you and then you sort of it goes up again? Do you think? Because if it was the same all the time, I guess you'd get used to it, would you, or something? Yeah. I don't know. Just thinking of that. What do you think about that, Emma? Well, just answer that bit. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, when all our books have like that sort of range of emotions in them, and your characters go through a kind of a journey from feeling, relatively safe to putting themselves in these perilous situations. And that's also part of the plot of any story, actually, that your character comes up against those challenges. So even if you were writing a mystery story or a kind of an adventure story, you'd still have your character being challenged in that way. It's just that the genre that we're talking about here is spooky. So it's, the characters are it's a psychological fear they're facing as well as like a physical fear. Yeah. So it's very much part of the genre, but it's a part of any story as well, really, that keeps the things ticking along.
Brilliant. And PJ, what were last thoughts on this from you?
I think that humor and horror go together really, really well. I think they both are reflections of like really big emotions. Like with humor, just sort of laughing is like a big release in the same way that fear is also like this big release. And so I love writing and reading horror and comedy combined, just because you get to go through this whole span of emotions and you get to kind of see, I guess, you get to really feel the highs and the lows and like the thrill of everything while also feeling quite safe.
That's fantastic. Listen, we've got loads of questions. We'll be here all day. Of course, we can't be here all day. For the last time, hold up all your books. We have a nice little show of the books. So we have Dracula and the Daughters. We have Dead Yard. We have Serial Chillers. We have Frankenstein and Lockett and Wilde, The Ghosts of London. All that now to terrify you to death. All this. It leads me to say, by the way, Chris Red and Bill Hickes are coming up in a minute. It leads me to say thank you to Emma. Thank you to PJ. Thank you to Jennifer. Thank you to Lucy. Let's give them a round of applause. Give us a big, big wave. Thank you very much, all. And we'll speak to you all again. Good luck with everything. Goodbye now. Here we go. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
please welcome, put your hands together. It's Christopher Reg. Really good to have you with us today. So you're back with your latest Fear Files Hide and Seek. I hand over to you. Tell us a little bit about this, because this is a whole sort of brand new kind of a step in a different direction to you.
Yeah, well, the Fear Files actually began with my discovery of the Darchive, which are these files that were leaked to me, which are like a top secret database of people's experiences with the strange and unexplained. And as I started to read these files, these people's experiences with spooky objects and paranormal experiences and strange anomalies, I started to wonder, could this actually be real? So that led to me putting together the Darchive. And the very first story is Hide and Seek, which tells the story of Adam's worst ever camping trip with his best friend Sol. But while they're on this camping trip, they discover a strange abandoned ghost town and find themselves playing a very weird game of hide and seek. And Adam has to kind of stay one step ahead of the Itter who's coming to find him.
That sounds a nice, relaxing read.
Yeah.
Chris. But then all the books are on today's show. This Hide and Seek is a familiar childhood game. Obviously, we all played it at some point. How did you decide to take something like that and turn it into something kind of so chilling and genuinely kind of frightening in a good way? We'll come to that in a moment.
I think it's actually genuinely the most terrifying game you'll ever play, because you think that it is terrifying for the hider, because you're kind of, are you going to get found, or even worse, are you going to get forgotten and left there?
That's true.
Yeah, so that's
you know, that's interesting. I'm sure we've all played hide and seek where we actually felt we've been forgotten and everyone had gone off and left us.
And that becomes part of Fear Files Hide and Seek, because Adam decides to play a trick on his friend Sol, because they're kind of a bit of an argument, and he decides he's the one who's looking for Sol, but he decides to wander off and go back to the campsite and leave Sol there hiding. But then he finds that the road in the town brings him back to the square, and Sol's disappeared, and then these strange children who are playing the game of hide and seek suddenly appear. So that inspired that. But it's also terrifying for the person who's doing the seeking, because you think about it, you're exploring all these dark corners. What's going to jump out at you? So it was that idea of this genuinely terrifying game that then inspired the story in Hide and Seek. Well, the phrase, ready or not, here I come. That is terrifying, you know.
Let's have a look at that. It's on the spine.
The front edge of the book. So this is a. Hopefully, if you go into your local bookshop, you'll all see "Ready or Not, Here I Come," and just I love that idea. That for me, kind of that sing-song call. So in the book, you don't often. My approach in this, when Adam tells his story, is you don't get a good look at the Itter. He's kind of a shadowy figure, but you hear him talking, and he talks in this strange sing-song voice. So you'll hear him counting down, and you'll hear this phrase, coming to find you, ready or not. And it's the most sinister phrase you've ever heard.
This is my evening now. It's just gonna go around in my head. I'll fall asleep, and I say, it's that Mr. Edge's fault. It's got it in my head.
Fear is hardwired into our nervous system, and in the Darchive, scientists have discovered there are 4 levels of fear. There's level 0, no fear; level 1, low fear; level 2, medium fear; and level 3, kind of like high fear. But there's another secret level beyond that called level 4, beyond fear. And every single case in the Darchive, every single fear file is about a level 4 case, an experience that took that person beyond fear. So that was what inspired me. I thought, we've got to get these stories out there. People have got to know about the Darchive and the fear files.
How do you get that balance of genuine scares with sort of age appropriate, I guess, sort of thrills and scares? How do you do that in terms of your writing? And maybe in your answer, maybe thinking about how some of the children could write their own creative.
Yes, completely. I mean, it's interesting because sometimes, there's a tendency, and I know this as a parent, you want to kind of like protect your children from things like fear, but fear and experience fear is actually a crucial stage in child development. We need to kind of learn about, if we didn't have any fear, we'd go out and do very dangerous things. So we need fear to keep us safe. And with the Fear Files books, when I was writing them, horror is a wide genre. You've got the kind of suspenseful horror of like the creaking floorboards and the tapping on the window. And then you've got the splattery horror of like, Hollywood movies and such like. And Fear Files is I'm very much attracted to kind of that suspenseful fear. So in the Fear Files, as well as the story, you also find lots of kind of fact things in it. So in the Fear Files, you'll find case notes, encyclopedia entries, lots of things about the story. So that lets the reader decide whether they believe that the story that the person is telling them, has it got a paranormal explanation, or could there be something more conventional going on here?
I tell you what, give us a little reading from it so they can get a taste of what this is like.
So this is from the part of the story when the Itter is looking for Adam, and he's hiding with his new friends Jun and Kai. And Jun and Kai have gone ahead, but Adam, as they're going through these passageways, decides to maybe try and turn the tables on the Itter. And this is what he does. So he's like in a little kind of cubby hole trying to hide. There's more than one way to win a game of hide and seek. Some people think it's all about not being found. But I reckon giving the person who's coming to find you a fright can feel like a win. They're all running scared of the Itter. But all I've seen is its shadow. I don't even know if what I saw was really a man or just some kid messing around in disguise. I grin to myself as I reach for the bucket to put the finishing touch to my trap. Let's see how scary the Itter really is when it gets its foot stuck in this. But as I reach down, I see the dark shadow of a hand appear on the wall in front of me. At first, I think it's the shadow of my own hand, but as my fingers close around the handle of the bucket, the fingers of the shadowy hand on the wall stay outstretched. I stare, bewildered. I can hear a soft whisper at the very edge of my hearing, and as I lean closer, I realize it's coming from the wall. 47, 48, 49, 50. The Itter's still counting. Darkness swims in front of my eyes. I stare in disbelief as another shadowy handprint starts to take shape next to the first. Its fingers seem to press against the dark in time with the Itter's count. 52, 53, 54, 55. I let go of the bucket, its handle falling with a clatter as I take a step back. More shadowy handprints are crawling up the wall. It's like the Itter can only count on its fingers, and it seems like they're multiplying. 62, 63, 64. I can't believe what I'm seeing. These flickering fingers must be a trick of the light, or rather a trick of the dark. My imagination is turning random shadows into shapes inside my mind. I shake my head as the outline of another handprint is pressed against the wall, the dark blur of each long finger appearing in time with the Itter's count. 66, 67, 68, 69. It's not really here. It's just my imagination. Then my heart skips a beat as the shadowy hand starts to unstick itself from the pitch black wall.
That is brilliant. I love that, Chris. Well, I love it. It's terrifying, but I love it.
Thank you.
That's really brilliant. Oh, really good. Well done. That's really, really good.
Yeah. And you can see the handprint as one of the pieces of evidence in the case file story.
Did we need to see that, Chris?
We
did.
We
need to see that to add it to my counting that I'm going to be doing at night tonight. Imagine you're trapped in one of your own stories for a night. Could be this one. Could be one of your other stories, Chris. What's the first thing you do to survive?
Because it's so scary, I am going to decide to hide in hide and seek. And there's only three pieces of advice. Stay quiet stay still, and stay hidden. So I would do all those three things.
There is a fourth after that. Go to toilet. That's the one as well. Listen, Chris, it's absolute pleasure to have you on today. Thank you very much. And Fear Files Hide and Seek is out now. Thank you so much for being on. Thank you very much. And for my last guest today on this Frightfully Good Fiction special, Mr. Phil Hickes. Here we go. Hello, Phil. How are you?
Hey, how you doing? I'm good, thank you.
For the last day of October, tell us a little bit about what the story of this is about and the main characters and what they get up to in this book.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's essentially about a boy called Cody who is obsessed with Halloween, and the reason he likes it is that it's an excuse to scare yourself silly, and he's not really interested in trick-or-treating or, you know, the things that the rest of us are interested in. He wants to find something scary to do because it's Halloween. And his brother has told him about a haunted house. And, you know, that sparks something in him. And, you know, he's desperate to go and investigate this haunted house because it sounds like the perfect thing to do on Halloween. Go looking for ghosts, you know, and it's going to be thrilling. And all he's got to do is persuade his two friends to come with him because he is a little bit nervous. And he persuades them to go with him. And the story goes from there.
The children go into the woods, basically. And the woods, I mean, I don't know about any children watching or any teachers watching, but the woods are always kind of traditionally sort of scary kind of place, especially in that sort of twilight and then obviously at nighttime and stuff like that. A couple of things about that. So firstly, you know, why the woods, Phil? Again, the woods terrify him. So why the woods, and why do you think the woods are such a sort of scary place and used so often in sort of spooky stories?
That's a great question. The woods are like anywhere, you know, whether it's a house or there's a difference between day and night. You know, woods in the daytime can be magical places where we go for a hike and we see flowers and we might see animals and we see nature, and, you know, they're great places. But as you said, when it gets dark and you can't see what's in front of you, I think they become very scary places. There are lots of unexplained noises, probably just animals making their way through the undergrowth, you know, leaves falling, but you hear cracks and snaps of branches and twigs, and you don't quite know, you know, what's making those noises.
Yeah.
So I think
they're louder, aren't they? They're kind of louder because I guess more people are asleep. There's less cars if they're around on the roads and all the rest of it. So everything's so, and I guess, do you think it's also because as human beings, because we can't see, our other senses get heightened into our awareness, our sense of smell, our hearing, all the rest of it. So it becomes we're already kind of slightly kind of in a raised, you know, state in that sense. Do you think that's the case as well?
Oh, exactly. You know, I think when we can't see things and make sense of them, our imagination takes over and it fills in the blanks. And often, if you're like me, your imagination is telling you there's something terrible there. It's telling you there's a monster there, or there's a ghost there, or something like that.
Always. Why can it be like, there's butterflies there, there's a whole stack of donuts? It's not that. It's always a monster or something, isn't it? It's always that. Could you give us a little reading for that, if that's okay?
Nothing much ever happened in the small town of Collin Falls, Oregon. So Halloween was cause for great excitement. It was one of those days that everybody looked forward to. The neat lawns of the houses were transformed into spooky graveyards. Huge robotic werewolves with flashing green eyes howled at the moon. Raggedy ghosts hung from the porches, swaying in the chill autumn breeze. On the outskirts of town, 3 friends were hatching plans. They were crouching beneath towering trees that had overheard many whispered secrets during their long lives. A small bonfire burned in front of the friends, but not very well. Wisps of thin smoke made the air smell sour. Green twigs sputtered and spat, but were too wet to catch a light. It stopped raining, but the sky was grey, and the cold wind made the friends hunch over and dig their hands deep into their pockets. So what are we going to do this year? Cody asked. His face was scrunched up into a frown, and he always looked a little annoyed, as if everything got on his nerves. His eyes were small and never totally at rest, as if he was always on the lookout for the next thing that might be heading his way. For Cody, Halloween was a very serious business, not because of the candy or costumes. Of course, they were a bonus. But in Cody's opinion, Halloween was cool because it was the one day of the year you could scare yourself silly. Last year, he'd gone to a haunted house event. Inside, people were dressed and jumped out at you when you weren't expecting it. It'd been pretty good. At one point, a man covered in blood had burst out of a door carrying a chainsaw, and Cody's hair had stood on end. This year, there weren't any haunted house events nearby. Cody had looked online, but the closest one was 30 miles away. His dad said he couldn't be bothered driving that far on a Saturday. Weekends were for baseball and pizza in front of the TV. So Cody had decided that if the scares weren't going to come to him, he would go looking for them.
This McBride house, again, is that a combination of just, is it your own mind, or it comes from your own mind, or is that a combination of all kinds of things?
You know, the McBride house in the story is the old home of an Irish immigrant family, and the Irish were responsible bringing Halloween to America. You know, It was a big tradition for the Irish, and they brought it with them, you know, when they immigrated to the US. Yeah, so, you know, it's the home of an Irish family, you know, that immigrated to the US. And, you know, there's an abandoned house in Portland, which is close where we live. And it is in the middle of the woods. You know, there's nothing else there. And it's abandoned. The walls are now covered with graffiti, but it has this peculiar to it. And I think that might have crept in a little bit when I was thinking of the McBride house. I just wanted somewhere that was very isolated and felt, you know, a little bit eerie and a little bit threatening.
Well, that certainly comes across. So thank you for terrifying all us at the end of this show. Why do you think it's actually fun to be, you know, scared in stories, but maybe not so scared in real life? What are sort of stories give us all, but also give children the ability to do, both through getting scared through the stories, but not taking that into real life, do you think?
You know, one, I think it's just very pleasurable to feel a little bit scared, but ultimately know that you're safe. You're in a cozy house, the door's locked, you know, you've got a nice hot, sweet drink, or, you know, you've got blankets. And I think that can be a lovely, comfortable experience reading about scary stuff when you know that ultimately you're safe. And I think secondly, and I think a lot of horror authors know this and will say this, I think it can really help younger readers at a time in your life when life's, you know, can be a little bit scary. That, you know, there's lots of unpredictable things perhaps happening. You're not sure about things. You might be starting a new school or whatever. You know, life can be a little bit scary. And I think by reading scary books, it can help you to process those feelings, you know, and perhaps be a little bit less scared when, you know, when it comes to real life.
Yeah, I'd agree. If you could step into one spooky setting, and of course there are loads to choose from throughout the sort of spooky and especially the middle grade kind of genre and stuff like that. So haunted house, creepy woods, which you've already got. Abandoned fairgrounds are always a big one. Which would you choose and why? Basically, someone said, right, Phil, you know, here's a whole load. You got to choose one of them, and you think, I don't want to choose any of them, but you got to choose one. Which would you go for?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've given me a terrifying list there. I'd probably say none of them. But if I was forced to choose one, I mean, I when you said abandoned fairground, I'd forgotten about those. And there's something about the faded colors and, you know, these cheesy grins on the clowns that are now look a little bit more eerie, and the fact that these places used to be full of life and people and now they're deserted, they really would play on my mind, and I'd probably get very scared.
Okay, that's a nice thing to leave you with, kids, today. Abandoned fairgrounds. Have a think about those ones.
Perfect time of year to read this sort of story. It's a sort of classic haunted house story. Hopefully there are a few twists and turns. Hopefully you won't see the end coming. And I think it's just, hopefully, you know, fingers crossed, the type of book that will send a few shivers up your spine at this lovely spooky time of year.
That's brilliant, Phil. Thank you so much. So The Last Day of October is out now, and Phil is my final guest. To give you a round of applause. Thank you very much. So So there we have. That's Phil Hickes. It's been an epic show today. Epic show. Plenty there to inspire your reading. You can catch up on your favorite bits, rewatch them, whatever you want to do. Please do share on Insta or Twitter, teachers, of your pupils enjoying today's show. It's great to sort of see you and sort of meet you in that kind of way. And I'll obviously comment as we go along. And a huge thank you to all my guests today. The live guests, Emma Carroll, Lucy Strange, PJ Killburn, and I forgot the other one. Who's the other one? Oh, Jennifer Killick, sorry. And of course, Christopher Edge and Phil Hickes as well. And a massive thank you to you as well. My name is Mr. Dilly. This has been Mr. Dilly's Frightfully Good Fiction. Evil Wicked Laugh. My name is Mr. Dilly. It's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.